welcome back to the Run Radio podcast. My name's Trina, and my guest today is a real estate planner, and Elise Ellis is going to tell us a little bit more about what that means. Welcome.
Hi, Trina. How are you?
I'm doing good. I know there is so much involved when you start thinking about real estate and estate planning and
Yeah.
all the legalities that are involved, and it gets overwhelming. So can you kind of break down what it is that you do and how you could help somebody like me, or like maybe my parents or grandparents that are trying to adjust?
Sure, absolutely. So what a real estate planner is a real estate agent here in Springfield, obviously, that I have specialized education and training to help families build, protect, and transfer wealth through real estate. And what that encompasses is anything and everything from helping someone downsize from their family home to a smaller home, or from their smaller home into a senior retirement community like independent living or assisted living, or if there's memory care issues, then into memory care. What are my goal is that they what we want to do is when there's multiple rental properties, for example, we want to help those families plan for the future, so they're avoiding capital gains taxes, so they are not having interfamilial arguments after mom and dad have passed away. So by setting up the family with a plan when mom and dad are still healthy and coherent, we can put that plan in action and have it be executed upon mom and dad's death, if need be. Or we can do it earlier and transfer the wealth through properties to the children. It's a comprehensive, holistic approach to real estate. So we're looking at relocation, 1031 exchanges, Delaware statutory trusts, and those two kind of go hand in hand, and I'll go into those a little bit more. Trusts and probate. And one of the biggest things that we see is that there are a majority of families, husbands and wives, spouses, that even single people that don't have a will. And so when they die, their entire estate goes to probate. And what we're end up doing is paying the government a lot more money than needs to be paid. If they would just put in a will and say, hey, you know what? The house is going to go here. The car is going to go here. My possessions are going to go here. This is who gets what when we are no longer living. And by doing that, we're saving the remaining heirs tons of money, tons of time. We're helping them avoid attorney fees and keeping the money back in their pocket. And it's simply by putting a plan together. Now,
Is it just that why do we just not know we're supposed to be doing this? Why is this something that does slip through, and then families left to gasp at what has not been done?
I think that there is a stigma talking about our own death, right? There's only one thing in this world that is guaranteed once you're born, is that you're going to die. And I know it's really morbid and dark to think about, but let's secure the future for our families. There are families out there that have had to go to probate, and they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to settle the estate after their matriarch or patriarch has passed. Well, those hundreds of thousands of dollars could maybe benefit a grandchild with a college education. Wouldn't it be a better idea to keep that money in the family and help provide for future generations than to just say, oh, I'm just going to give it all to the government or to the attorneys? I love attorneys, right? They're an integral part. I don't actually do a will or a trust, but I refer my clients to trusted attorneys. And I love them. So I don't want to say, hey, we're keeping money out of their pocket. That's not the thing. But when families are fighting over an estate and it's in probate, that just costs everybody more money. Let's minimize that expense, keep it within the family, and move forward in life.
I don't want to totally put you on the spot, but I'm sure that you've had some pretty close experiences with this. Can you
Yeah.
kind of share one of the stories that, has really made this personal for you?
Sure. I mean, I'll just share my story. Um, in 2006, my mom had a brain bleed stroke. It's called a hemorrhagic stroke. And I was with her at the time and got her immediate and medical attention. And because of that, she was healthy for the next 14 years. And she got to see my children, her grandkids, and get to know them and have a wonderful relationship with them. Fast forward to August of 2020, my parents had been retired, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years, and they were living their best life traveling, and they were in Colorado. It was August, it was hot here. They went to Colorado where it's cooler and, very beautiful, and they were actually having lunch at a restaurant, and my mom coughed, and she had another stroke, another brain bleed stroke, and collapsed, and they got her life flighted out of the mountains into Denver. And it became very apparent very quickly that she was not going to recover to the quality of life she would have wanted. And because my parents had met with an estate planning attorney, they had all the necessary documents in place, and we knew how to proceed with this life-changing event. We knew that she did not want to live as a vegetable. We knew that she valued her quality of life. And in the end, my dad and my brothers and I made the decision that she would not want to live that way based off of what the legal
Mhm.
documents that they had prepared said. So we ended up letting her go, and she did pass away about, I don't know, 12 days after the stroke had occurred. Fast forward 8 months, my father-in-law, we get a call. Let me back up. My parents had everything, like I said, legally. Trust, will, um, medical power of attorney, everything lined out so we could make decisions. Fast forward to, let's say, February of 2021, we get a call from the ER. My father-in-law had fallen while going up the stairs and he needed to be picked up. So my husband and I went and picked him up, and come to find out he was very, very ill. He had stage 4 cancer, lung cancer, and he did not want any treatment. Okay. So they gave him he did a couple of treatments. He didn't like the way it made him feel. And he said, I'm declining treatment. And
No.
he eventually passed away, probably about 6 to 8 weeks after the initial call from the ER. Um, he went from the ER, we took him home, and then couldn't get out of bed. He was so sick. So we ended up taking him back to the hospital, and he was in the hospital for about 3 weeks. And the Mercy Rehab Hospital said, we're going to transfer him to an assisted living. We're going to get him healthy, continue his rehab, and he can be there for up to 100 days. Well,
Mhm.
within 24 hours, what we found out was that they were releasing him and that we had 3 days to find a place to put him. So now we are a family in crisis because we knew nothing. We knew nothing about this. We knew nothing about this, communities that were out there that would be beneficial to him. We did not understand Medicare and the supplements that go along with Medicare. And we were lost and literally a family in crisis. So through all that, my father-in-law did end up passing away 8 months to the day after my mom passed away. And the main difference was, uh, my father-in-law had a will. He had everything payable on death, titled on death, beneficiary deeded to my husband and his brothers. And that would have been great, except that there was disagreements between the brothers. So what
Mm.
should have been an easy process to sell his property and move forward ended up being almost a year-long process because one brother um, felt like the property was worth more than what it was really worth. And he was given every opportunity to, get your own um, appraisal of the property, contact your own real estate agent to find out what their value of the property is. And it just drug out for a long time. And there's still to this day, there's some tension there where he still thinks that the property should have been sold for a lot more than what it was actually sold for. Now, having said that, had I known about the real estate planner certification, then we could have gone in earlier before my father-in-law was sick and said, let's really look at this. Let's look and see, is this the best plan possible for you? I mean, we avoided probate, but we did not avoid the disagreements within the family. And the real goal of the real estate planner, what the certification I have, is to avoid the probate, avoid the family arguments and disagreements, and to make sure that everything is taken care of so that when an event happens, like what happened to my father-in-law, and there's not a crisis, right? So
Yeah.
does that help? Does that explain?
Yeah, I mean, because you're gonna have plenty on your mind, and then to add to it things that you could prep for
Right.
and just get out of the way are, I mean, it's just, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. And
So,
I think a
what
lot
are
of
some of the
people
other things, like little differences? Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
What are some of the other things, like you were talking about, things that you'll explain, little differences that we might need to be aware of, or things that we should be bringing to you when we come to talk to you?
Um, when we set the initial consultation or meeting, uh, we need a list of all of your real property, your houses, rental properties, vacation homes. I know a lot of people here in Southwest Missouri will have a lake home, so we need to bring that.
Mhm.
If you already have a trust written, bring the trust, because sometimes what I'm finding is the trusts have been created, but they haven't been funded. So what that means is that there's a trust out there and the
Oh,
home is not actually in the trust, or the cars are not actually in the trust. So we need to be looking at
yeah.
those items and saying, okay, if you're going to stay in your home for the next 3 to 5 years, well, that home needs to be put in the trust. So let's get you with the title company, do the necessary documents, which is very minimal cost, and get that home put in the trust. And then, we'll go to the DMV and we'll go and put the title of the vehicle in the trust name so that all of your assets, and I'm just going to use assets loosely, um, they're all protected and you're protected. I have had several clients, single women in their late 80s and early 90s that have had a trust and they aren't funded. And I don't know if it's a miscommunication or what's happening, but this can be taken care of very easily. Just a few things that you have to do. And it's paperwork and it's time. It can be a little time consuming, but it's well worth making sure that everything is protected.
What are some of the rewards for maybe the older person involved to go ahead and start planning this early too? Because they might
Uh,
think, hey, I don't care about it at all.
well, for example, a lot of our older population, they're on a fixed income and they may have,
Mhm.
say, 1 to 5 rental properties that they are using that income from as well to live on. And let's say that the upkeep of the properties is now becoming too much for them. And so they want to sell that property. Well, they're going to have to pay capital gains on that property. So what the value of the property when they purchased it
Okay.
versus what the value of the property is the day they sold it. Um, so what can end up happening is by paying the capital gains, they're losing a whole bunch of money that they could use to live on, right? So one plan is to use a 1031 exchange, which is literally an IRS tax code that says you can take and sell one property and exchange it for a like kind property. Okay. Something of the same or
Mhm.
equal or greater value. And sometimes, especially in the market that we've been in since 2021, it's not possible to find a like kind property within the time frame that's set out by that IRS tax code. Okay. This is a very general description of the way it goes. So there is a vehicle called a Delaware statutory trust that we can use to exchange change that the money, the proceeds from the sale of rental property A and put it into the Delaware Statutory Trust, they will avoid capital gains and they will be receiving monthly income from it. So they can continue to have
Okay.
income from rental property or investment property and avoid the capital gains at the same time. Now, you're going to have to plan for the future through that. Like what happens when that person who owns the rental property and does the 1031 exchange into a Delaware statutory trust, what happens when they die? Well, we have a plan for that as well. Okay.
Okay. So the best case scenario, of course, is to come see you before anything ever happens to get things in order.
Yep.
However, what can you do for someone if something has already happened? When is it too late for you to get involved?
It's never too late. It's never too late for me to get involved. One of the biggest things that I do and enjoy doing is I'm meeting with the sales directors and leasing coordinators of all of the communities we have here in Springfield. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is that back in the 80s, when I was growing up, I think of a nursing home as that very sterile hospital bed, nurses running around, not a great environment for your aging loved one.
Mhm.
That's not the case these days. We have different levels of senior aging communities. We have the independent care, independent living community where it's like you're in an apartment. It's luxury living and everything is taken care of for you. You have a kitchen. You don't have to cook if you don't want to because there is a full on restaurant style cafeteria in the facility or in the community. And then from there, we have assisted living communities where it's a little bit more hands-on. Residents may need help with their medicines, daily care, cleaning, laundry, that type of thing. The residents still have some freedom. There's a ton of activities by the activities director. They just need that next level of care. Then we get into what's called skilled nursing, and that is the traditional nursing home, what we all think of as nursing homes. They need a higher level of care. Okay. And then we also have memory care, and that is when someone is experiencing some dementia or Alzheimer's, and they need the highest level of care. So I visit and meet with all these sales directors, and I know what their target market is, and I know that the community A is very active, music, lots of people around all the time, lots of things to do, and I know community B may be a little bit quieter, and maybe the person that's coming in from 100 acres out in rural Southwest Missouri, they're probably going to want something a little bit quieter.
Yeah.
Whereas the person who's used to living in the city, they're going to maybe want something a little bit more active. So knowing what the target markets are for these communities allows me to make educated recommendations to my clients to where they need to go.
So for someone who's listening and they're thinking, well, I wonder if I'm the right person, or maybe she only deals with, big corporations or small businesses. Who's the perfect client for you?
People my age. And I know that sounds really crazy. It's the sandwich generation. It's the people who have kids. They're still raising kids, and they're also helping raise their parents. Or give care to the parents, the caregivers. And I say it's my age. I'm 48. I'm middle age. It could be as young as somebody is 35 or 30. Depends. Everybody's situation is a little bit different, and their parents' ages are going to be a little bit different. The idea, I love to get in with not just the matriarch and patriarch or the elders of the family. I want to talk to their families. Let's bring the family in, the main caregivers. Let's get them in. Let's get everybody on the same page to make educated decisions as to which direction we should be going.
I think that's a great point. I mean, just because you're of a certain age, I think if you've got kids, that kind of helps guide you on this timeline, but those move pretty quick. And even if you don't have kids yet or you're younger, it's still not too early to go ahead and reach out to someone like you for help.
Right. So one little tidbit, here's a little tip. If your net worth is $100,000 or more, you need a trust. And having $100,000 in
Okay.
net worth is very easy to do because if you are working, when I say you, I mean you in general, if you're working for a company and you have a 401k that has $100,000 in it, and you own your home, and you own your cars, and you have life insurance, your net worth is now going to be $100,000 and more. And that's the great time to start estate planning and planning for your future. So it doesn't necessarily mean just the person that's 55 plus or 65 plus or the wealthy
Right.
older individual. It could be the younger families that are owning their first home and they've bought their first investment property and they are both working full-time jobs and they have kids. So it's even though I focus more in on the older population and their adult children,
Mhm.
it's never too early to start planning for the future with estate planning.
All right. That sounds great. I want everyone to know how to contact you so they can go ahead and get a consultation set up. Give that out when you're ready.
All right. So my phone number, it's my direct phone number. Direct cell phone number is 417-576-2661. And you can call or text me on that. If I don't answer, if you call and I don't answer, please leave a voicemail. I will call you back. It's just I'm on another line or I'm in another appointment. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram and all the socials. You can just usually search up Elise Ellis. I try to keep it all the same across the board. You can find me there. Email is eliseellis@kw.com, and that's ELISEELLIS@kw.com.
A lot of E's and L's in there.
It is.
Thank you so much for talking with me. And please come back when you have more to share because I think this is something that needs to stay on top of mind for people and that can always evolve with new information because things change quickly and it helps us to stay on top of it and we can go to you to make our lives easier. We will do it. So thank you so much, Elise.
Thank you, Trina. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much. You can follow along at runradio.net.